Hello everyone, another episode of CTO Corner, and we continue with Menny, Menny Barzilay, and Niv, how are you?
Just fine. Menny, thank you for joining us again for the next episode. A little catch up for our audience. In the last episode, we spoke about what's the lessons 2020 really taught us about cyber risk and why it happened. And we talked about two great examples of terrible examples, but really interesting examples about Igor, the cyber hacker, the Russian one that tried to hack Tesla. If our audience skipped the previous episode, I encourage you to just hear this example. It was a really interesting example about what the possibilities and the power of cyber criminals and cyber risks, even for private companies like Tesla. And another terrible stories, but interesting from a cyber perspective, was a woman that died due to cyber criminal. And again, that was in the previous episode. In this episode, I'm just really popping to the next questions. So all the cyber criminals, all the cyber guys, really talking about what happened in SolarWinds in the last quarter, and it looks like was really historical event what happened in SolarWinds. Can you elaborate from your point of view what so important in the SolarWinds event?
Yeah, so definitely, probably one of the biggest events that ever happened in the world. In the sense of the quantity of companies that got hacked with this one attack, and more than that, some of the leading cybersecurity vendors of the world got attacked through this attack. And what happened is that there is a company called SolarWinds, and they have a product, and this product helps big organizations to manage their IT. And this is one of the leading products in the world. And because of that, leading companies around the world use it, including Microsoft, FireEye, which is one of the biggest cybersecurity companies in the world, a lot of Fortune 500 companies, the US government. So hackers, probably from Russia, according to what was published, probably Russian hackers, were able to hack SolarWinds, the company. And what they did there is that they took control over the patching mechanism. There is a system inside SolarWinds, which its job is to issue software updates to all the SolarWinds products in its customers. And the hackers who took control over this system were able to send a backdoor into each and every SolarWinds system that was installed in each and every of those SolarWinds customers. Now, it didn't affect every version and every product, but it affected the product that had a significant presence in many, many companies. And after this patch, the hackers were able to connect to those SolarWinds systems, and through them to connect to the network of those customers, and through that to start doing whatever they want. Now, the first ones to discover this attack were FireEye, which is impressive. And then Microsoft discovered this attack, and then other entities started discovering that they were also affected by this SolarWinds attack. But the interesting thing is that I think it took about 6 months, I don't remember the exact time. But this is amazing that even for the leading cybersecurity companies in the world, it sometimes takes months to discover that they were attacked. In Hebrew, we would say, that it would be translated to something, if the big guys are failing, what would the small guys would say, right? So yeah, and when the hackers used SolarWinds product to access those networks, apparently, according to what we know right now, they were able to steal a lot of sensitive information from US governmental entities, from other companies. Microsoft said that the hackers were not able to access any sensitive information. And FireEye, I think FireEye said that they only took a lot of attacking systems that most of them were already public, but they also, the hackers were able to steal some attack systems that FireEye used that were not public. That made the hackers stronger because now they have the attack tools that FireEye used. And we are still in the process of discovering what happened. More and more companies discovered that they were hacked, including some companies in Israel. More and more companies discover that their information got stolen. And more big security vendors discovered they were attacked via the same attack. And so I think only a year from now, we will be able to summarize what happened in SolarWinds, in one of the biggest hacks that we had in the US.
Menny, the trend of hacking the supply chain instead of hacking the company directly, I assume that's, when we spoke in the previous episodes about the insider threats, once you cannot bypass the perimeters and the firewalls and the big barriers that the security guys in the organizations, when you're looking about the next step, you said, okay, I cannot, attack organization because it's too big. As you said, they are too big for that. So why not attacking the small companies? And again, SolarWinds is not US government. So I will attack the company that the US government are using because I assuming their security principles are less dramatically than the US government itself. But now we scared our audience. So before they take the heat under the table, with the helmets, I'm just curious: is there any good advice from this event, or we don't know it yet?
Yeah, so there are many things that companies should consider. I want to start by agreeing with everything that you said. I think the supply chain risk is one of the biggest risks that companies have right now. Companies use so many suppliers, and in today's world with those cloud services, sometimes it's not very clear where does the organization end and the supplier begins. So we're interconnected, and if one organization get hacked, then the hackers can move from there to one of their service providers, and from there to all of the service providers' customers. So we are interconnected, and this is my first tip, I would say, or advice, which is to understand that this is not a competition. This is a boat. We're all on this boat together. Cybersecurity incidents in an interconnected world, cybersecurity incidents can affect everyone and anyone. So we should think hackers and criminals are so good in working together, sharing information, sharing tools, like initiating joint projects. We are cyber people. We should be much better than they are. And we should work together. We should share information. We should do those kind of things that you guys do, which is this kind of webinars where people share information. I think those are great. And thank you so much for spending the time and effort in bringing knowledge to the world. And I think that we should do that. The second thing is definitely manage your supply chain risk. Understand that there is a good chance that the threat will come from there. Do that, use that to create to simulate cybersecurity incidents. Think of what would you do if such a case would happen.
And to be honest, I'm advising to our listeners to start looking about Spies and Netflix. It's a great show. We talked about all the things we talked right now, Menny. It's hard to believe that 30 years ago, it was the same principles that we are seeing today, already done by the Russian. So I will not do a spoiler alert to our audience, but you will see a lot of thought how to intervene organization, how to hack data, how to hack facilities, and again, when we're talking about nationwide, that's still a nationwide responsibility to protect us, I believe. But now let's try to be more optimistic about that. What do you believe organizations should do from base of perhaps of organizational structure, from vision, from education perspectives and more, and how to manage the day-to-day and the challenges in 2021 and 2022?
So that's a very good question. People didn't hear that the previous episode. I will just want to remind everyone that one of the things that we do is that my company does is that we help a lot of organizations deal with cybersecurity incidents. So if there is a crisis, we do the crisis management aspect. And the reason that I'm saying that is that I want people to understand that the next thing that I'm going to say is based on facts and not something that based on imagination. And the thing that I want to say is that even companies that sometimes invest hundreds of millions of dollars in cybersecurity are surprised when they discover that they have no clue how to manage a cybersecurity incident. And it's important to remember that managing cybersecurity incident is a separate topic that you should invest time and effort specifically on that. An interesting notion about cybersecurity incidents is that the damages that organizations face because of an incident comes from two places: the direct damage and the indirect damage. The direct damage would be the ransom, for example, that the hacker asked, right? The money that you would pay for companies like me that comes and do the crisis management, so on and so forth. And the indirect damages would be things like getting sued because you lost information, and so on and so forth. And the secret is, it's a well-known secret, is that the damages, the indirect damages are much, much greater than the direct damages. As I said, being sued, dealing with those lawsuits, sometimes losing in those lawsuits, getting fines from the regulators, losing customers, finding it hard to find new customers, changing the focus of the organizations from what you're doing to cybersecurity, spending so much time and effort in implementing new cybersecurity solutions. The insurance company ask money to reinsure you, and so on and so forth. So many other things happen that will increase the damage. And the reason that I'm telling you that is that people should understand that management decision during the crisis can dramatically influence the outcome of the crisis. So train your management, simulate events, ask them the hard question, do one-day training or whatever it is. There are many, many ways, creative ways, fun ways, important ways to train management, both the senior management and the board of directors, because when an incident happened, it's not just a technological issue. There is a legal issue. There is insurance related issues. There's a physical security related issue. There is a public relation related issue. There's a human resource related issue. There is supply chain related issue. And there's many other things. So it's not just the technological people inside the organization that should know how to deal with a cyber incident. It's everyone and anyone. And we already know that the challenges ahead of us are much greater than the ones that we've already faced. And what happened in 2020, what will happen in 2021 will make 2020 look like a big joke. So the incidents ahead are amazing, terrible, and something like we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, we've been talking about minimizing not the risk. You're talking more about minimizing the result, the impact, perhaps. So yes, it's really interesting. I just want to remind to our audience, you know, when we talked about cloud, it was a great example for that. We talked about modernize the security policies. When we talk about security policy modernizations, it's not only just to have updated documents or on policies, etc. It's more about how to take on old perspectives of how managing security and how managing cyber risks and modernize it to the new era that you need to understand. There is a supply chain challenges. There is a digital transformation acceleration that happened with COVID-19. And today, organization that doesn't exist in the world of digital transformation is it isn't relevant at all. I just read today about another great example, IoT risk. It was Ford that signed an agreement that since 2023, all Ford vehicles will be Android embedded. So now we're talking about a fleet of, I don't know, billions of cars. I don't know the real number for Ford, but she is the biggest vendor today, as far as I know. They signed an agreement for 6 years. So 6 years, you're going to have a Ford car that's embedded with Android. And that's a cyber challenge. I don't want to call it a risk. It's a cyber challenge. So yes. So you talked about the result. I'm talking about the process. And I completely agree with you, Menny. If we not train ourselves for a deadly day, we are not going to be prepared for that. So don't save in this area and be ready. So if I'm trying to recap what you said, Menny, if you have something to comment to that, it's great. But if not, we're going to move to our final questions. But I'm just curious about if we're trying to take 2021, what is the biggest advice you believe that organizations should do? I like to, like in the Israeli military, I like to summarize the 3 because the 3 advice, it's easier than the 30. So what is your advice for 2021?
So I think that number 1 would be don't count on your ability to predict what will happen. So a year and a half ago, nobody imagined that we will be in this situation. I used to travel to 15, 20 countries every year to give talks, to do various projects, and I didn't leave Israel for the past year. So I didn't imagine that we will be trained to our houses and that we will have that we will force to wear masks. So we didn't have the ability to predict the current situation. Maybe some people, like a few people, like Bill Gates, had the ability, but most of us didn't have this ability. And when I was asked to write an article about what COVID-19 taught us about cybersecurity, and the first thing that I said, that shit happens, and it will continue on happening. So number 1 would be bad things will happen. You will get attacked. The biggest companies in the world got attacked, and this will happen to you. Just keep that in mind. The second thing is that invest in your cybersecurity people, train them, spend money on improving their understanding of the cybersecurity threats. This is the easiest way to improve your cybersecurity posture, just improving your people's knowledge. And the third thing is, it would be what I said before, is remember that we have to work together. This is not a competition. This is both. We have to work together. Pick up the phone, call your friends, meet them, have those Zoom conversation with them. Just make sure that you share information, knowledge, insights about what happened. If you want to contact me, I think this is my website. You can see it here on the
other
Zoom.
side. In the other side.
In the other side.
Oh, is it on my camera? This is the side. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
This is
right there.
This is interesting. I learned new thing today on Zoom. Thanks God, this is the first time I'm doing that. So it's either here or here, depending on what's, I don't know.
Or there.
Yeah, or there. Or, yeah, mennyb.com, mennyb.com. There you can join my newsletter or whatever. Drop me a question and whatever. So yeah, those are my things.
Yeah, I think it was a 2 great episode that we had with you, Menny, and you say the SolarWinds only next year, so we will invite you to the next year from right now. And Niv, you are so passionate about it, so I really shut up more of the episode, but I really enjoyed, and I think that were 2 of our best episodes that we have. So really, Menny, thank you for your time. Niv.
Thank you, guys.
Menny, it was our pleasure to host you. It was an exciting episode for me. If people that know me and follow my network know that I'm really passionate about cybersecurity, and I want say thank you and hope that our audience will take your great tips about what to do in 2021. And for all our audience, stay safe, stay home, and thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Neil, thank you for inviting me and thank you for hosting me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.